by U.S. troops to avoid them falling into Iranian hands.
Our thanks to Sophie Flay. Okay, ABC News contributor and former Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense for the Middle East, Mick Mulroy, is here for more. Mick, this was a massive search and rescue operation. What made it successful?
So, Andrew, I'd start with the training that the pilot and in this case, the weapon systems officer received, escape and evasion, basically SEER training. That gives them the capability to, of course, hide themselves, to locate where they are, and essentially signal to come and recover them. Does it always work, of course, but certainly this individual took great steps to hide himself, and it was, I think, very likely part of the reason he was recovered. The other parts, of course, we've already talked about, the CIA doing the deception operation to lure the regime other directions, and potentially they found him using some kind of technique unknown. Probably shouldn't be talking about that too much. And then, of course, the major effort was JSOC, who conducted this highly risky but successful operation that really does show that the U.S. never leaves anyone behind.
And now President Trump is threatening to blow up the whole country. You say this could turn into a total war. What do you mean by that, and what's at stake here?
Well, it really depends on what kind of targets we're going after. If it's military targets, then of course that's well within the scope of warfare. But if it's purely civilian targets, and we don't know yet, but that's what essentially is being speculated, then that could be challenged under international law. And of course, that plus the fact that we can turn the population of Iran against us is, I think, troublesome for many. And that is something I think we'll have to see what actually happens. It might be hyperbole to force Iran into some kind of agreement. But if we strike civilian targets, power generation plants, they, of course, support hospitals, they support desalinization plants. These are things that are necessary for life in any society, and it will certainly be challenged under international law. It might backfire on us, of course, because Iran can certainly do the same with our allies and partners in the region.
And Israel is already launching strikes on Iranian energy infrastructure. What are you watching for as the president lays out that ultimatum for Iran to open the Strait of Hormuz by tomorrow?
So the energy infrastructure could be a military target. Certainly the regime, which has caused major destabilization in the region, funds itself off to the sale of its energy. Of course, the issue there is, will they respond in kind, essentially, again, to our partners in the region, their oil and gas facilities, like they did in the Qatar liquefied gas fields and their processing plants. That could cause international prices to rise again for energy, because ultimately, even though the United States doesn't get a lot of its energy from this area, if there's less energy in the world, everybody pays more. So that's a concern, of course, that we'll have to see if Iran retaliates.
All right, Mick Mulroy, thank you. Meanwhile, as you mentioned there, Iran is threatening to disrupt the flow of global energy even further. ABC's Olivia Rubin has the latest. Hi, Olivia.
Andrew, oil prices are up overnight and stocks are down as Wall Street gets back to work after the holiday weekend. The president giving Iran until 8 p.m. Eastern tomorrow to reopen the Strait of Hormuz. And in response, oil prices rising again about 3% overnight when trading began. Now AAA says the average gas price in the U.S. rose yesterday to $4.11 per gallon. That's 89 cents higher compared to just 1 month ago. 8 members of the OPEC Plus have now agreed to increase oil production next month, but it's unclear how exactly that extra oil would be delivered if the strait is still closed. And Iran is now threatening to close yet another important shipping channel, this one in the Red Sea. It's called the Bab al-Mandeb Strait off the coast of Yemen, where Iran-backed Houthi rebels have operated. A top Iranian official warning the flow of global energy and trade can be disrupted with a single move. But even if this war is resolved soon, Andrew, experts say it could take months for markets to recover. Andrew.
Olivia Rubin, thank you. Well, Artemis 2 is now just hours away from that lunar flyby. This part of the mission will take the astronauts deeper into space, seeing parts of the moon no human has before. Now, the crew has officially entered what's known as the lunar sphere of influence. It's where the moon moon's gravitational pull is stronger than Earth's. ABC's Hannah Battah has more on the mission.
The Artemis 2 crew is just hours away from the moon, a mission more than 50 years in the making.
It's a magnificent accomplishment to be up here, to see the moon, to see the Earth, and to know that we are between those two celestial bodies.
Today, the crew is expected to travel farther from Earth than any humans before them.
Reached the farthest distance from Earth at a distance of 252,760 miles. That's 4,105 miles farther than Apollo 13.
The crew completed a short course correction burn, fine-tuning Orion's trajectory as it entered the moon's gravitational zone, and set a path to swing around the far side of the moon. During the flyby itself, the astronauts will work in rotating pairs, trading off about every hour to manage duties, taking photos, and gathering scientific data. The astronauts will capture images of craters and lava flows, places never seen by the naked eye. They'll also take photos of Earth and other planets visible in the distance. Mission Control's expecting a 40-minute communication blackout as Orion passes behind the moon. The crew is making final preparations, practicing with their survival suits, learning how to put them on and take them off in microgravity. These suits, built for the most dangerous moments, can help keep them alive for up to 6 days inside the capsule if needed.
If they had to spend extended time in those orange suits, how would they practice drinking their protein shake or delivering medication? And how would you set up the seats in Orion while you're wearing the bulky suits? These are things that they would need to do in a contingency, and we wanted to be able to practice these before if we found ourselves in a scenario where we would need to do them.
The lunar flyby is expected to start at 2:45 p.m. Eastern today and last for about 7 hours. We'll have complete coverage today on the ABC News app. Hannah Battah, ABC News, New York.
Hannah, thank you. Let's now bring in retired astronaut Terry Virts. Terry, thanks for coming back on with us. You know, Artemis 2 is expected to surpass the distance record, as we mentioned there, set by Apollo 13 during this flyby of the moon. So how big of a deal is that?
Well, I think the astronauts themselves will downplay it. They're going to just focus on getting the mission done. But everybody on Earth knows we have sent human beings farther from Earth than we ever have before. And hopefully, I think the real point of this mission and the Artemis plan in general is to have a step-by-step plan. You know, this will be step one. Eventually, in the next few years, we're going to land on the moon and then build a base on the moon and hopefully go on to Mars. So this is really just one step in a much bigger plan.
There are still some challenges here with this mission. NASA says there will be a comms blackout for about 40 minutes when the crew will lose communication with Mission Control while flying by the far side of the moon. How risky will that be, even though they've prepared for this and they know it's coming?
Well, there is some risk there, but I think the bigger point is it'll be amazing. They will not be able to see planet Earth, and not one human being will be able to see them. So it's kind of an emotional moment, I think, kind of a profound moment to be completely out of view of your own planet. But they know how to handle it. There's some type of emergency on board. I don't expect that there will be. They have the procedures to handle it, but for 40 minutes they are on their own. There is no human being that can talk to them or even see them.
And Terry, tonight Orion will enter the solar eclipse. What are you watching for there?
Technically, when Orion is in the shadow of the moon, then the batteries will have to power the spacecraft. So technically, they'll go from solar power to battery power. So that's something that's going to happen. I don't think that'll be a big deal on the space station. We usually get about 30 or 40 minutes per orbit of using our batteries. So we're used to building spacecraft that can do that. But during that time, they're going to be on battery power. But more importantly, there won't be any sunlight to blind them. So hopefully their eyes can adjust and they'll get a great view of our galaxy and stars out there. So we'll have to see what they say, but that'll be the time that they can look out the window and see stars better than they can any other time during this mission.
Retired astronaut Terry Virts, we thank you.
Thanks for having me on.
Coming up, an ABC News exclusive, actress Melissa Gilbert speaking for the first time about husband Timothy Busfeld's arrest. What she's telling our George Stephanopoulos about the child sexual abuse charges he's facing.
Domino's best deal ever gets you any pizza with any toppings for just $9.99.
now, TMZ cites sources saying the way spelling maneuver her car may have minimized more severe impact. And actress Melissa Gilbert is speaking exclusively with ABC News about her husband Timothy Busfeld's charges. The actor is accused of inappropriately touching a child actor on the set of a TV show. Busfeld has pleaded not guilty, and Gilbert insists he's innocent. She sat down with Good Morning America's George Stephanopoulos.
It's time. We've been hearing too much.
has, we've had a lot of ups and downs. We've been through struggles. We've had our own issues to deal with, and we've worked through everything. He is nothing if you're completely honest with me. I trust him with my children's lives, with my grandchildren's lives, my nieces and nephews. He is an honorable, caring, generous human being.
You're confident he'll be exonerated?
I am 100% confident he will be exonerated, but I will tell you that there is a practical side to this, and we do have to be prepared for all scenarios.
What will justice look like in this case?
Exoneration, an apology, freedom from this cloud.
George Stephanopoulos, thank you. Coming up, an alarming rise in detention center deaths. Matt Rivers is taking a deep dive into this dangerous trend. Stay with us.
Your ancestors' lives are just a search away.
Get your podcasts.
You're watching America's #1 streaming news. Keep streaming with ABC News Live.
Welcome back to ABC News Live. More than 8 million adults in the U.S. are diagnosed with psoriasis. The autoimmune disease can cause itchy, scaly skin patches. In a segment sponsored by AbbVie, our Lara Spencer speaks with AbbVie spokespeople Stacey London and Netika Chopra, who both have first-hand experience with the condition.
I want to start with you, Stace. You were diagnosed as a kid.
Yeah.
You've been a fashion mentor to me and so many people over the years. And you've had this incredible career and managed these symptoms. How have you done it, and what can you share with our audience?
Yeah, I mean, I think, the first thing to say really is that I was diagnosed at 3. So I have been living with plaque psoriasis my entire life. And it was very different. Dare I say that I'm going to be 57 in May. So
Yeah.
that was 54 years ago. That so little was known then.
That's right.
And I felt so alone because as a little kid, all I understood was I have something chronic, which means something's wrong with me. And my learning to manage the symptoms also came with understanding that it was just a part of me, not all of me. And that even though it could be a little bit, scary to see it or have to explain to people when their reactions
We've come
are
so far, though, in
Yes.
the way we can treat it, and
Yeah.
also just, putting it out there. Like, it's not a big deal.
And
It's handleable.
It's handleable. And I think that fashion is one of the tools that you have in your arsenal to help you manage it as well.
Right.
And
I want to get into that because I love your philosophy about sort of manifesting through fashion. I do believe in that a great deal. I do want to say hello to you. It's just palpable. So, Nitika, talk to me a little bit about, as an advocate, you are such a believer in radical self-love. How does it relate in the case of psoriasis?
Yeah, that's such a great question. I say it's radical because when you're living with something like psoriasis, I had psoriasis covering most of my body for so many years, many decades of my life. And it's radical to walk into a room feeling like people are staring at me, they're confused, they don't know what's going on. My skin was cracking and bleeding and itching constantly. So yeah, it's a radical thing to look at myself and then say, you know what, I'm going to love myself exactly as I am in the face of all of this, and no matter what anyone is saying. It was a huge journey for me.
And advice?
Yeah.
What advice do you have for people?
Yeah, so I have a bunch of things in my toolkit, but a few things that people can definitely do. Find that one friend that is like the person you can tell. I mean, Stacey is, I already knew. Stacey is definitely one of those friends for me that you can really tell the high, I know, right? Everybody's friend, but you can really tell the high highs and the low lows. You don't don't have to hold back. Also, honestly, I know you've probably heard it, but a journaling practice goes so far. It helped me build so much self-trust and helped me really regulate my emotions and know that I had that to fall back on. And then learning to advocate for yourself at the dermatologist has been a game changer. Do not just take things at face value. Try to find somebody who really listens to you. And I think all of those things really help me when I'm feeling so done with my psoriasis and I'm feeling like I really want to change that mindset. These are the things that I call on.
I love it. Great tools. Yeah, totally a toolbox. I appreciate that. So, Stacey, let's talk about fashion. Because you use it to sort of manifest who you want to be as a person. Let's talk about living with psoriasis and how you deal with it in this case.
Yeah, I think really at the bottom of it, it's about agency, right? It's knowing that we can manage these issues ourselves and being able to make the choices that make us feel most confident. And so whether or not you want to show your skin is really not up for debate. That is your choice. If you are living with plaque psoriasis and you want to show your skin and in some months getting some sun is great, right?
Okay.
Then go for fabrics that are breathable, that are natural, like cotton, like linen, in cotton jersey, cotton voile, things that really breathe.
Yeah.
And if you want to cover up, then cover up in light layers and do that with maybe some clothes that aren't as tight fitting. That can sometimes be an issue with your skin. It can, irritate. So wear something a little bit looser on that day, but do the thing that makes you feel most powerful. That's what fashion is for. Fashion is for you to show who you are in any moment of any day.
I love your energy is just so palpable. I just love having you on. Always so good to see you. I want Nitika to bring it home because you're part of a new campaign to help raise awareness about psoriasis. How do you hope that this campaign encourages and inspires those out there dealing with this?
Yeah, I felt so alone in my journey with psoriasis, and I know that so many people do. And so the campaign is really about, get done with that. Like, do not feel like you are alone. I know I've been so done with that for so many years. And so people can visit sodone.com and check it out. It's psodone.com. And it's really about knowing that your story, those struggles, those hard moments that we're all feeling, I know we've felt them many times, that it's not you're not the only one going through that. There's so many people out there who are also experiencing the same thing.
We talk about it.
Yeah.
We normalize it.
Yes, exactly.
Yes,
Exactly.
totally.
It's always so great to see you. Coffee date?
Yeah, I love that. Going to take
All right, sister. All right, thanks both of you for coming and sharing your story and helping so many out there. Really appreciate it. All right, and you guys can all go to GMA's social pages to learn more.
Our thanks to Lara Spencer. I'm Andrew Dimmert. The news never stops, and neither do we. We have a lot more news after the break. special survival suits. And history on the hardwood. The UCLA Bruins are your new NCAA Women's Champions. The celebration in the stands, plus who to watch on the men's side, with UConn and Michigan tipping off tonight. ABC News Live first starts right now. But first, President Trump is escalating his threats on Iran. The president says the U.S. will blow up the entirety of Iran if it doesn't reopen the Strait of Hormuz by tomorrow night. Iran says the strait will never return to its former state, especially for America and Israel. Our Karen Travers is at the White House with more. Karen, the administration has put out mixed messaging about the Strait of Hormuz since the start of the war. What are we hearing from the president now?
The president now is escalating his threats against Iran to make a deal by tomorrow night, or as he told our Rachel Scott yesterday, country. He is also saying Iran has to reopen the strait, and Andrew, you hit it there, saying that there have just been contradictory messages on first the timeline on when he wanted to see Iran do that. It has shifted over the last 2 weeks. He keeps extending the deadline for Iran to do that. He is also giving contradictory messages on whether he wants to see